As a GIS professional, you need to be able to own your map. To do so, we need to fill in a few more gaps in your newfound GIS knowledge so that you'll know if your map makes the cut. Today we'll focus on data frame basics, working with multiple data frames, appropriate layer symbology, and we'll review the essential map elements. When you open an ArcMap document, the default data frame is listed in the table of contents as layers. When you are in Data View, the display window is the data frame, showing the map layers of the active data frame drawn according to the table of contents order. I would like to make a map of the UWF campus location in Escambia County. This current map extent is too zoomed out for the level of detail that I want, but would be great as an inset map because it gives geographic reference. So that I can have both views on my map, I need to add a new data frame. I'll do so by clicking on Insert in the main menu and selecting Data Frame. A new data frame displays in my table of contents. Now to keep track of which data frame is which, I'm going to rename the labels. Do so by clicking on the data frame name and then typing in the new title. My new data frame needs some data. I would like to have the Escambia County boundary in this data frame as well, so I can do so by dragging like so, into the new data frame. You can tell which data frame is active by the title being emboldened. To switch between data frames, you can right-click the data frame title and select Activate, and it switches back to that data frame. Now to view the placement of the data frames on my paper, we need to switch to Layout View. The layout of my data frames is a bit off. I think the inset map would look best in the top right corner of the map, and the UWF campus location definitely needs to be a bit larger. To adjust this, you can drag, making sure that you have the correct data frame selected. You can tell by the blue boxes highlighting the data frame. So I'm going to temporarily put my inset map up here, and then I'm going to create the margins for my UWF campus location map, since it's the larger map on the paper, by going into the data frame properties and adjusting it in the size and the position. I'm setting the width at 10 inches and the height at 7.5. Now I would like to align this properly. So I'm aligning center and aligning to my vertical center. Great. Now I'm going to zoom to the full extent. And then I'm also going to add a border so that I can see the edge of my map for placement of my inset map. So I'm going to select my inset map again, and I'm going to adjust this, put it to its full extent. I think that looks good. Now I'm going to add a neat line. So with that data frame selected, I'm clicking Insert and selecting Neat Line. Place around selected elements. I'm going with a gap of 10 and a border of 1.5, but you can set it to your own liking. Now I'm going to go into Print Preview and see that both of these are on my map. And this is what it's going to look like when you export your map. So you want to make sure that you have everything within the margins of this paper. Other things to take note of while you're working with data frames is if you ever get a thick diagonal border when you're trying to select a data frame and you've clicked it too many times, this just means that you've focused this data frame. Focusing a data frame allows you to work as if you were in data view, but it also prohibits you from doing normal layout view activities. So to fix this, you can just click it. Now if you want to focus your data frame and you can't quite get it by clicking, there's also a button up here that allows you to focus the active data frame. Data frame properties can also determine the way the contained data is displayed. For example, the coordinate system. This defines the map projection for the data frame, and typically the coordinate system for the data frame is determined by the first data that's added. All other data sets will be projected on the fly to match. To view or adjust these settings, right-click the data frame and select Properties. And to view the coordinate system, you just select the Coordinate System tab. And here we can see it's the Albers Conical Equal Area Coordinate System. Next we're going to learn about clipping the data frame. You can see I've added some data onto my UWF campus location map. I've added major rivers, interstate, and a UWF campus location. However, the interstate and major rivers extend beyond the Escambia County boundary. To fix this, we can clip the data frame by going into Properties on the Data Frame menu, and then selecting from the clip options, Clip to Shape. We need to specify the shape by selecting Outline of Features, and from the drop-down menu selecting Escambia Boundary, so that all the layers are clipped to the boundary of Escambia County. We also want to exclude layers of UWF because it's very close to the boundary line and it may get clipped. So to prevent that, we'll exclude it. Now select OK, and major rivers and interstate have been clipped within the Escambia County boundary. The layers on your map are randomly assigned symbology and typically will need to be adjusted. Your main goal is to communicate information as clearly and accurately as possible. To do so, there are some guidelines that need to be followed. Check out the symbology table provided to you in your lab for reference. Applying those guidelines, I'm going to adjust the symbology of these layers like so. I want the UWF point on the map to be more noticeable, so I can double-click on the point and go into my symbol selector. Now I'm going to choose star and will adjust the size to 35. Next, I will adjust the interstate. I'm going to change this to black and adjust the symbol to 1.5. In addition to that, I'm going to go into the layer properties and I want this feature to be labeled. In your Labels tab, you can select the label features in this layer and it's going to label it according to the text string selected in the attribute table. So the label field that I would like labeled is the route number, and then I'm also going to adjust the symbol. Towards the bottom you can find the interstate highway symbol. We're going to keep the text size 7 and make sure the bold is selected. Then we're also going to select the placement properties. So we want the orientation to be horizontal. And then we also are going to make sure that we have the duplicate labels removed. Select OK. Now Interstate 10 is labeled with an interstate symbol. Next, the major rivers will change to the color blue. And then I'll change the Escambia County boundary to something a little more appropriate for a land feature. I'll choose mango and I'm going to adjust the outline color to that as well. We went over the essential map elements in the Overview Map Lab, but I'm going to touch on them again because they're so important to any map. You can see that I'm working in layout view so that I can see my map as if it were on paper. And this is important so I know what the final product is going to look like. If you've been wondering about using dynamic text for some of your essential map elements, I'll go ahead and show you how to do it. But for the purposes of these introductory exercises, I think entering text manually works well. The point of dynamic text is that it changes with the current properties of the map document and data frame. Dynamic text is great for when a document is being repeatedly edited and changed. An example of this is perhaps in the workplace. Several people are working on one map, and you open it and you need to know the date the map was last saved, or the new file path for the document, or the last editing person's username. To define some of your dynamic text, select File from the main menu and Map Document Properties. In the dialog box, you can enter your title, author, and various other things. I'm going to stick with that for now. Select OK. To insert, select Insert from the main menu. For the title, select Title. It displays on my map and can be adjusted manually. For other dynamic text, you go to the Insert menu as well, but select Dynamic Text. We can select Author. We can select Current Date. You see these things appear in different text boxes and you just have to relocate it. Okay, so I've put my map together and now I'm going to check that it has all the essential map elements required by the UWF GIS program. Here I have my title. It contains minimal words but still explains what the map is conveying. My font style and size are clearly legible, not too boring, and hopefully don't take away from my map. Next, I'll double check that I have my north arrow and scale bar. Remember to adjust your scale bar to an appropriate size for your map, and try to use round number scale increments. In most cases, it's best to use the graphic scale bar as opposed to scale text in case the map is resized after it has been produced.